我的宠物 my pets. The learning outcomes for this video are to recognize characters for pets and animals, ask if someone has pets, ask how many pets someone has, and say what pets and how many pets you have. So the first one, meow, meow. So originally a lot of the characters for animals came from pictures. So as you can see, you can imagine that the bird is sitting on the stick, and this is the bird here, and maybe its beak or a little top feather or something. So as we go through, try and think of ways that you can remember how to say these animals and remember to recognize the characters. For example, 我有一只鸟。这是什么？这是狗。狗。Here we have an animal radical. A lot of the characters for animals have this radical in it, and it can give us a clue that it's an animal. For example, 狼, 是, 猴, and we also have a couple more that will be used in this presentation that have the animal radical in them. I remember this goal because it has a ko in it, and often your dog might run up to you and then lick you all over with its tongue. So it's using its mouth. It also sounds like go, so that's where the sound comes from too. 我有一只狗。这是什么？这是兔子。兔子。So I always imagine this one as like the rabbit's face with its wee mouth and maybe a lopsided ear, and maybe it's even wearing glasses. So come up with some ways that you can imagine how to recognize this character. Imagine the picture. 我有一只兔子。这是什么？这是猫。So over on the left here, you can see we've got our animal radical. We've also got a grass radical and a field radical. So maybe you can imagine a group of cats walking through the grass or frolicking in the grass, and maybe one of them is eating grass because it's feeling a little bit sick. So just come up with some picture ideas that you can remember these characters. 我有一只猫。这是什么？这是羊。羊。So you can see we've got our horns at the top here. And this is the word for goat or sheep. There are specific words if you want to distinguish whether it's goat or sheep, but generally we can call both of these a yang. 我有两只羊。这是什么？这是牛。牛。So maybe this cow has gotten into a fight and it's lost one of its horns. 我有一只牛。I always think of it a little bit with the sound. What sound does a cow make? 牛. It's just a silly way to remember. 这是什么？这是猪。As you can see, we've also got the animal radical in it, and maybe you can imagine that the pig is lying down and the piglets are feeding. 我有一只猪。这是什么？这是鱼。鱼。So what I've got down here is the original oracle bone script of the fish. So originally this was a picture that looked like this, and eventually over time it's become this. So maybe if you can think of links between these two pictures, it might help you to remember that this is you. For example, 我有一条鱼。这是什么？这是蛇。You probably don't have one of these as your pets, but you might want to talk about it one day. So what's interesting in this one is that it has an insect radical. So why would a snake have an insect radical? So I think maybe because of the shape of it, because it's long and skinny, it looks a little bit like a worm. So maybe it came from that. A worm's an insect. And so here are some other ones that have the insect radical. 蚁, 虾, and 蝶. 我有一条蛇。 So here we're going to look back quickly at what we talked about with family, saying how many something we have. For example, I have 3 older sisters. How do we say that? 我有3个姐姐. And my family has 6 people. 我家有6口人. So what I've highlighted here are the measure words. Now when we talk about pets, there's specific measure words we want to use. I have 1 cat. 我有一只猫. So this 只 is a measure word for most animals. And I have 2 fish. 我有2条鱼. So this 条 is a measure word for long, skinny things like fish and snakes. So these are the 2 measure words that we use for most animals. Asking, do you have something? We know that question already when we talked about family. 你有 something 吗? Can you ask questions about these animals? 你有狗吗? 你有兔子吗? 你有宠物吗? 宠物 is the word for pets. 你有蛇吗? And asking how many. How many something do you have? 你有几只? Or 你有几条? So asking how many rabbits. 你有几只兔子? Asking how many snakes. 你有几条蛇? Saying that I have them. So what's the word for I? 我 have 有. So if you have a dog, you can say 我有狗. How about if you have a cat? Do you know how to say that one? If you don't have a pet, remember the word for don't have is 没有. 我没有狗 or 我没有蛇. Saying I have so many of these pets. For example, if you had 2 rabbits, 我有2只兔子. Don't forget the special word for the number 2, 2. Or I have 3 snakes maybe. You might have pet snakes, toy snakes. 我有3条蛇. So follow up, log on to Quizlet and test yourself. It's really important to also speak these words out loud so you can practice your pronunciation and your tones. Write down any questions you have about the video that you're not so sure about so we can discuss them together. And make sure that you completed the worksheet. This is important so you've got something to take away from this video that can help you to remember the words that we've learned today. 谢谢，再见。